Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Joe Emilio Show. I'm your host, Joe Emilio, and in today's episode, we're going to talk a little bit about coalitions. And Ernst van Sale, joins me later on from Afriforum. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk about Julius Malema. We're going to talk about other things as well. You don't want to miss out. I think we're going to, if I remember correctly, we're going to talk about how to survive a failing state. So stay tuned for that conversation. All that and a lot more coming up. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. How are you doing? I hope you're all doing well. Look at me. I'm not even prepared properly. There we go. There we go. All right. Got the backlight on now. How are you doing? How's everybody doing? How are you doing? Thank you for tuning in. Ernst van Zyl will be joining me in less than 30 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. At 8 p.m. he'll join. I see some people already here. Ricard Lamar is here, ladies and gentlemen. This evening, everyone. Robert King is here. Hello, Robert King. Good to see you. We're going to be talking about South Africa, a failed state, and how you can survive it with Ernst van Zyl later on at 8 p.m. And we're talking about we're going to be talking about Julius Malema in general. Probably say what a idiot he is, and then we'll move on from that. Anyway, I hope you guys are doing well on this Monday evening. Some news, by the way, some updates. Umlongo, sorry, is in the chats as well. Some interesting, well, not interesting, sorry, some news to share with you guys about the channel. One, you gotta go check out the new show. I'm just saying, it's a hit. People are loving it. I'm gonna keep on doing it for as long as I can. I do try and do it Monday to Friday. I can't always do it Monday to Friday, but I will try and do it Monday to Friday. It's called News in 5 Minutes, where I try and give you the news in around about 5 minutes. Sometimes I do go over time. As you can see, there's a 6 minute, there's a 9 minute, but that 9 minute one has almost 5,000 views. So thank you guys so much. Thank you to all the new subscribers. Thank you to everybody who watched that video. I didn't expect that video to do so well. It did. Well done to everybody who watched. Thank you so much. But that's this one over here. I'm very pleased with how that turned out. Go check it out. It's a good one. And so was today's one. Shocker, breaking news. And then tomorrow's already uploaded and ready. You're going to want to listen into that because the ESCOM wants to charge 3,474 Rand, well, up like around there, even if you don't use electricity. I mean, they cut it off anyway and we don't use it, but yeah, if you're on solar, they will they will charge you. Anyway, so besides that, also wanted to tell you guys that tomorrow is Comedians Roast the Headlines. So usually we do that show on a Thursday, but I'm not available on Thursday. Well, this Thursday. So there's been so much happening in the news that we decided, hey, we don't want to skip a week because then we're going to have too many headlines. So I asked the guys, is there anybody available on Tuesday evening? Let's do it then instead of Thursday this week. And we got people, we got a panel, and we're going to be doing a show tomorrow evening. Very much looking forward to it. Some crazy headlines. It's amazing. I really look forward to them. And we're going to get the comedians' reaction because we have to do a follow-up. I mean, the donkey cart situation, we reacted to it in the last show, which was fun, a lot of fun. The guys they thought that was the best headline ever. But now where there's follow-up, there's a whole story developing and the plot is thickening. So we're going to get the comedian's reaction to the plot thickening tomorrow evening. You don't want to miss out on that. It's Tuesday, 7 to 8, it's hanging out with me. But then 8 o'clock, Comedians Roast the Headlines, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be a lot of fun. And all right, so that's in terms of announcements. That's pretty much it. Umlungu saying you should call it News in 5 African minutes. Could be 3, could be 30. Who really knows? I like that. I really do like that. Maybe I will use it. We'll see. But yeah, I'm still working on the show. I'm still adding things to it, adding my comedy humor to it, and so far people seem to be enjoying it, which is great. So thank you guys so much for watching it, for sharing it, for liking. Very much appreciated. So yeah, I'm quite proud of that little segment. Anyway, um, I don't have a lot of time this time because I'm not doing an hour this time before we hang out. I'm just doing 30 minutes before Ernst van Sale joins me. Oh, look who is streaming now. Ooh. Ooh. Oh, okay. He's actually done a video. Do you guys? So you guys know Mork, right? Like he's one of the guys that help roast the headlines, right? Apparently he's got a video out. You see, he's got his own YouTube channel. Okay, I'm tempted now to watch this. I just added.
That's not quick. Good. I mean, our government is corrupt as corrupt can be.
There has been recognition of corruption in the ANC.
I wouldn't want them to have the ability to contact social media and go like, we need to quash the story. Oh, like the president did something terrible and this just came out now. Now, like media companies and news agencies are just being squashed because, you know, like, well, you know, the government, these social media platforms have allowing them to. And I mean, it's also quite funny that it's happened this roundabout right now, just as Elon Musk acquires Twitter. My kind of conspiracy theory about, I think, what actually is at play here, you know, with this entire story of the leaks coming out. I mean, like, he just bought Twitter and along.
All right, so that's enough of that. But that's Mork Rock, ladies and gentlemen. Go check it out. New video that he has out now. Looks very interesting. He says social media in collusion with government. Interesting stuff. It's his first video in quite some time, so please go show him some love over there. Subscribe, and yeah, watch the video. I don't know how he's gonna feel that I aired some of his video on my channel, but also very funny. He's a very funny, sarcastic, dry, but very funny guy. I've been trying to get him to do stand-up. He won't do it, but I think he'd be super funny. Anywho, what else? What was I going to talk about? Oh, yes, very quickly. So, I mean, I don't know if you guys are interested in this. I'm going to get to the comments in just a second. I see some questions coming in, but I'm going to get to that in a moment. I don't know if I even want to, because, like, I'm not a big fan. It's not that I'm not a big fan. It's just that I don't really follow the coalition stuff very, very closely, because, like, I know that some coalitions are working. I know that Ikulini is like messed up. Nobody knows what's going on. But I just thought, for those of you who might be following it, for those of you who want to know, look, Ikulini is a mess. Nobody's getting along. They're like children. But now Action SA has pulled out of the DA-led multi-party coalition. This is breaking news. This was announced like a few moments ago. And look, don't panic, because they're still going to make sure that the ANC doesn't take over. They want to focus more on the service delivery that's been lacking because of the coalition's fighting. So that's good. But Action SA has decided not to partake in the coalition in Ikulini with the DA, but they are still going to be with the DA in other metropolitans, just not Ikulini. So I think there's I think they're in a coalition with Johannesburg or something. It was written here somewhere. Blah, blah, blah. Do not have enough seats. Blah blah blah. Da da da. However, blah blah blah. Okay, wait. It was here somewhere. This is committee. Oh, there it is. Okay. It's right in front of me. Sorry. Action SA says it will continue coalition partnerships with the DA in Gauteng and 2 other metros, Johannesburg and Tshwane. So there you go. It's still a coalition happening, but not in Ukulele. Which, I mean, that whole thing is a mess. I mean, what's her name? Campbell was in, then she was out, then she was in again. ANC, EFF trying to do something, but they can't agree to anything. So it's a real mess, and all that's happening is civilians are suffering because nothing's getting done. So yeah, that's pretty much it. There's nothing else to really say about this. I think they should stop being children. But anyway, just in case you were wondering, that's pretty much breaking news that was announced 4 hours ago. And what else? Oh yeah, I wanted to point this out. So I googled because I was wondering what headlines to show for this brief moment before Ernst pops in, and it says here. It says here, News 24, South Africa's leading source of trusted news. Bullshit. That's total BS, man. Leading source of trusted news. Yeah, right. Okay, I've got a bridge to sell you in Cape Town. That broken one. Oh, my word. What? Leading source of trusted news. Just everything they said in that sentence is just wrong. Wrong. Right? I wouldn't say they're the leading source, and I wouldn't say they're trusted news. That's all I'm saying. But anyway, News 24 really rubbing themselves there. Huh? Okay. Anyway. Let's get to some of the comments here. Let's see. Does the donkey cart come with a donkey? No, it does not. But they are falling apart, in case you wanted to know. Robert King says, would be interesting to know from Ernst if Afriforum has met with Mbeki, as R.W. Johnson has written an op-ed in Biz News where he mentions that Afrikaner groups such as Solidarity and Oranje have done so. I'll ask him. I don't know if he'll know. And then Deborah is here, ladies and gentlemen. Yo, Joe. Hello, Deborah. It's good to see you in a stream. Very good to see you. How you been? Darkness in 20. Load shedding. Sorry for you, my friend. Apparently Zuma is launching a book as well. Imagine listening to it. Zuma narrating the audiobook. Yeah, no. The only adults in the room when it comes to coalitions are the FF+. Fair enough. I wouldn't know. Apparently there are coalitions around South Africa that are doing very well. It's just that the media is only reporting on the ones that have drama. Man, it's just shambles, Anyway. 15 minutes until Ernst van Zyl joins. Very much looking forward to having him on the show. It's going to be a lot of fun. Haven't had him on the show in a while. It's been a while since I've had Ernst on the show. So probably going to do a lot of catching up as well. But very much looking forward to it. FF Plus for 2024. Hey, I might vote for them. I'm not going to lie. I don't know whose dog that is. I might vote for them. Seriously, I'm not even lying. I'm still deciding. Okay, I said I might vote for them. Okay, in case there's anybody that's gonna clip that and be like, "Oh my God, Joe." Um, I don't know. I don't know yet. 2024. I don't even know what to think of 2024, to be honest. Shut up. This dog's always barking, man. And I don't even know why. Anyway, Corneille Mulder is the chair of the Coalition Strategy Group, I believe. I wouldn't know. Coalition Strategy Group. Interesting. Okay. Corneille Mulder. Yeah, maybe I should have him on the show. I don't know. Is there anybody that you guys think I should have on the show? Because I'm actually struggling to find guests lately. Like, I've got Xavier Bapu. He's been on the show before. He's been part of my panelist thing. But he's going to be on the show next week, Monday. And he's going to spill some tea on some politicians. And what I mean by that is he used to be very briefly in politics. And he used to be on some WhatsApp groups. And he witnessed some stuff, which he's going to share with us live next week. So, yes. It's gonna be interesting there. Robert King saying there's a by-election in Paul in 9 days' time, which the FF Plus could do quite well in. Lots of people seem hopeful with the DA. I'm not gonna lie, I was in Paul not too long ago, and I noticed a heavy Freedom Plus presence. I'm not gonna lie. Malema's not gonna come on to, like, can we be realistic, guys? Can we, like, I'm asking which guest, but you gotta be realistic with me, because Malema's not gonna come on the show. Like, trust me, I've extended an invitation. Okay, this guy doesn't care about what? Yes, please. Can you interview the original Elvis? He's dead. How do you interview a dead guy? Anna Marie. By the way, good to see you again. How are you? Like I said, just be realistic about the people. Like, because I was thinking maybe getting John Steenhazen on the show. I don't know how you guys would feel about that. Was thinking of maybe. Okay, really? Okay, let me put it this way. There's no EFF member that's going to be on this show. Just saying. Tallulah Moon. Hello. How are you? Good to see you. Yeah, there's no EFF member that's going to be on the show. And I don't know if I really want to interview an EFF member because it's just going to go around in circles, going to end up insulting each other, or they're going to end up insulting me. So it's just, it's not worth it, man. Let's be real. Who should I have on the show? Like, other than John Steenhazen right now, I can't think of anybody else. Maybe Ted Blum. He's a really interesting guy. But I don't know if he would come on. I probably should try Ted Blum. Who else? I'm trying to think. I don't know. I want someone, like, interesting. We'll see, I guess. I was just wondering if you guys had any ideas. That's not a bad idea. If I can get Groenewald on, I would. Any ANC members? Yeah, okay. I have tried to have ANC guys on the show. They refuse. I've approached 3, and each one said no. And I think it's because they look at the channel and they realize that there's a Footsec ANC hat in the background, and they're like, no. And besides, I criticize ANC a lot, so it's not really their. They don't want to be part of this channel because, one, in their eyes, I don't have enough subscribers. So for them, it's like, what reach are they going to get out of me? And then secondly, I don't like the ANC. So they're like, well, it's just going to be an ANC bashing thing and I don't feel like it. So no. So I've given up on the ANC. I've given up on the EFF. I've extended my invitation to the EFF many times. And the most ironic thing is I'm not. Like, that's the thing. Like, my heritage is definitely not. But be that as it may, that they think that way. Yeah, it is what it is, right? But yeah, John Steenhazen, I'm going to try and reach out to him. Maybe I should try and get Helen Zilla back on. DA, like, as much as the DA is hated, I will say this. The DA and Action SA are probably the members there, the ministers and members there, or politicians in those parties are probably the only ones that really don't mind going on channels and don't mind being interviewed. More so than the ANC, than good EFF. Yeah. So, oh well. Anyway. Like, I would actually have, what's her name, Patricia DeLille on, and I'd ask her, like, why did you go to an empty town and wave at nothing? Like, there wasn't even a dog out. There was nothing. There was nobody to wave to, so what the hell was that video about? That's what I would do. But she won't. She probably won't even answer that question. You know who I would actually like to have on the show, actually? I don't know if you guys know this person. What's her name again? Kate Hofmeyer. Someone tell me they know who Kate Hofmeyer is. Come on. I'm not going to tell you who it is. I want you guys to tell me who it is. It's obviously a woman. I'm not going to give you any clues. I want to see how focused you were in 2020 and 2021. Because she was all over the news at that time. Peter Murray. I actually have spoken to him in person, and I think he would be willing to come onto the show. So thank you for that suggestion. That's a good suggestion. That's a good one. Hey, Ray's on. Hey, Ray. You're on point. Good to see you again, Ray. Yes, The Advocate. Imagine if I could... No, it's not Steve's daughter. I don't think they're related. I mean, it could be. I mean, the amount of children he has. But anyway. Yeah, she was the advocate at, or attorney or whatever you want to call it, who was in the Zondo Commission representing, and she was the lady asking all the questions and stuff. I would dig to have her on the show because I got so many questions. I don't know if she'd be allowed to answer all of them, but I got questions. Like, I want to ask her, like, what was the most bizarre moment of the interrogations, you know? Yes, advocate at commissions. My thoughts. Thank you. Like, I think she would be an interesting person to talk to. Like, just like, what was the most outlandish thing that happened? Yeah, I don't know. I'll think of other questions, but I mean, like, I think that would be a very interesting question to ask her. You know, was there a moment where she was like, I mean, there's going to be a few moments, but she's like, is this really happening? Is this her job right now? You know, I want to ask her if she was nervous, if she ever had someone that she was really nervous. Did she get death threats? You know, and how does she feel she did? You know, would she do anything different? We'll see. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, my guest is in the green room. So while we get set up, let's go on a little bit of a break, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll be right back with my guest, Ernst from Afriforum, as we chat about a failing state and how to survive it, as well as a little bit of juju every now and again. And no, I wouldn't get Trevor Noah on the show. I don't. He got fired because we all know why he got fired. His ratings were low. Problem solved. That's it. Anyway, I'll be right back. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, it's break time, and I just wanted to tell you a little bit about becoming a member to this channel. So why should you become a member to this channel? It's a great question. You're gonna get a lot of exclusive perks. I mean, if I have a one-man show, for example, you're gonna get up to 50% off on the tickets. You get exclusive access to the Joe Emilio Show WhatsApp group. You also get access to other things, ladies and gentlemen. If you wanna know more, go to the join button at the bottom of this video to see all the information on becoming a member. At least subscribe to the channel. If you like what you're seeing so far, subscribing is always free. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let's get back to the show.
Don't wanna sleep in, cause I got something to
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Joe Emilio Show. I'm your host, Joe Emilio, and as promised, I am here with Ernst from Afriforum. Ernst, how are you doing?
I'm good, and you, Joe?
I am good, buddy. You know, during the break, you were telling me that you are unfortunately suffering some load shedding.
Yeah, well, it's a ANC-induced situation where you just have to make the best of it. So yeah, as the audience can see, I'm making the best of it. But yeah, this is definitely the load shedding look. It's a nice little gritty aesthetic. I think the South African YouTubers have perfected it. But yeah, it is what it is. So it goes.
Well, thank you once again for joining me on the show. Unfortunately, you don't have a lot of time because your batteries aren't going to last too long. So we'll try and be as concise as possible and informative as possible because we want to chat about, you know, speaking about load shedding, the state is failing and how do we survive it, which is a topic you presented to me. And I thought, hey, that's a pretty good idea. I mean, what can people do to survive a failing state?
Well, Joe, I think that's one of the big questions that not only South Africans are asking, but people all across, specifically Western countries, but I think also other countries outside of the West. And that is as we exit the paradigm or the model of relying on a powerful state to look after you in every regard, we're going to have to start working on alternative solutions. The alternative solutions that I'm in the business of, or that I'm working on at Afriforum and at the broader solidarity movement, is a state is anti-state. So they are state-proof, if you will. So these are solutions where you as a community mobilize and organize and get together and take back a lot of the responsibilities that we've left up to the state for so many years. I think that's one of the big temptations that the devil used to make people slaves, is basically to tempt them with convenience. I think convenience is a terrible thing, in historically speaking. I think it's forced a lot of people and misled a lot of people down a path of state dependence. And now, I mean, state dependence is not as evidently bad when the state is functional and everything is working. But when a state, as this, like the South African government, starts deteriorating and losing capacity, that's when you start realizing that you've sold your soul to the devil. That's why I use that metaphor, because that's what you do when you tie your fate to the government, and whatever happens to the government affair, you have no choice. You put all your eggs in that one basket. So the alternative to that is to slowly wean yourself off your household first, then your street, then your community, and then the broader region as well, from as much state dependence and government dependence as possible. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. It's not something that anyone expects is a weekend job. It's something that takes a long while and a lot of hard work. But there's already a blueprint, and there's already a lot of good results to point to show that it can be done.
Yeah, perhaps maybe you can give us one or two examples of the ones that have been done.
Absolutely. So the best example of it is education. So for very long, let's take Afrikaans education, for example. when we are in a situation where state-run schools and universities are becoming completely English. They are becoming places hostile towards Afrikaans education and the Afrikaans language often, where we have reports from Stellenbosch and other universities that even in reses, some students aren't even allowed to speak their mother tongue in private or in the hallways. When those institutions that are tied to the state become hostile towards your language or your culture, what do? Well, then you create your own institutions, and as I said, it's not something you do overnight. It's something that you build towards. So the solidarity movement built, for example, Saltech Technical College. Completely without state support, and their students that are able to speak Afrikaans can learn different trades in their mother tongue. That's one example of state proofing. Another great example of state proofing that's very practical and doable is security. So I think in a perfect world for the ANC, they would not allow something like neighborhood watches to exist. They would want to have a monopoly on security. But as the state collapses, they can't have everything they want. They can't have their cake and eat it too. So in the void of state collapse, that void is filled by neighborhood watches and citizen initiatives, which we already see skyrocket now in the past few years. I saw a stat the other day of in just the Western Cape, the amount of neighborhood watches has increased exponentially. And I mean, you can just look at, for example, Afriforum's neighborhood watch network. We already have over 150 all across South Africa, and that's growing by the year. So that's how you take, for example, the responsibility of keeping your community safe back. And when you're in control of that responsibility, it's hard work. It takes some time, but then it's on you. Then it's not, you're not dependent on the state. And when it collapses, you can't keep yourself safe. It's that whole idea. It's a very old idea, the idea of subsidiarity. So the principle goes that every responsibility should first be given to the smallest social unit. So a social unit is, for example, a family. The family is the smallest social unit. So whatever responsibility a family can take care of, they should be given that responsibility. Only when they are not able to do that responsibility, for example, keep their neighborhood safe, do you delegate that responsibility to a higher social order or a higher level, and that higher level would then, for example, be a neighborhood watch. You don't just delegate everything to the government. You first start small, the smallest social unit, whether that be a school, a church, a family, all these are social units. The smallest possible social unit that is able to take that responsibility and take care of it effectively should be given that responsibility. And only when they are not able to do it, you give it up to a higher social or bigger social unit, like, for example, a neighborhood watch when it comes to security. So that principle of subsidiarity, I mean, this is a very old idea. This is not something that was thought up yesterday. This comes from the at least the 1600s from thinkers like Johannes Althusius that pretty much pioneered this idea of rather keeping responsibility at grassroots rather than just going for the top-down approach every time. That's how we got to where we are now. We've just been giving everything over to the top-down approach. The government will solve it, don't worry. And that's where we are now. That's why I'm sitting here in almost complete darkness, only with my cell phone light making a little bit of light and my laptop battery making it possible for us to stream here. But this is state failure, and this is something where that's why, for example, a lot of communities are working towards, and despite all the ANC's efforts, to become self-reliant when it comes to electricity as well. I know a lot of people that are installing solar panels, a lot of people installing gas geysers, a lot of people making sure that they are little by little becoming state proof. And I mean, like I say, nobody is expecting it to happen overnight. Nobody is expecting your viewership, for example, to now spend hundreds of thousands of rands to be completely off the grid. It starts with something small. It starts with a solar heater. It starts with making sure your geyser or your lights in your house are powered by solar, or using a gas stove instead of electric stove. These are the types of small things that you do, and you build those things, build up. You slowly start building up that capacity to be state proof. So these are all. There's many other examples, but the first step is starting to take stock of what type of responsibilities can me and my family, the smallest social unit, what responsibilities can we handle that the government doesn't have to? And as the state collapses, as that void grows, you're not going to have to even ask for permission. You're just going to be able to fill that void. That's the difference of living under a competent tyrannical government and an incompetent one. And maybe just the last point to demonstrate that.
Oh no. Did we lose Ernst? Hello. I think data got him. Now there's data shedding, ladies and gentlemen. He's definitely frozen. Hopefully he'll be back. Okay, so he got disconnected. The beauties of load shedding, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, Gavin, you're late today, man. But it's cool. I saw Ronaldo had a stream, so I figured you were there. And then let's see. Valerie's also here. Hello, Valerie. Good to see you. Thank you so much. Data shedding. Yeah, exactly. I hope he'll join us. Let me just send him or let me just pop him a quick. Oh, there he is. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, that's it's not going to happen again. It was just the internet switching, seeing as the power goes off at about
Okay.
5 minutes or 6 minutes late. So that was just switching from the Wi-Fi to the my backup internet. But yeah, and just a final point there. That's another example of state failure, where the guy that's where you have a schedule of when your power goes off, but they're still late.
Yeah, exactly. I do have a article here that I saw today. I'll show it to you. I'll pop it on the screen right now. So there's the headline: South Africa is slowly collapsing, and this was an article given out on the 14th of November 2022, which is today. And they have a little bit of a table here, which is interesting. So they have like a whole okay, so there's the infrastructure, the sector, the grade, and then description of the grade basically. And they have like the Gautrain, all that stuff. Okay, cool. So only the Gautrain is in like the A, and it's A minus. It's not even A plus or A.
Well,
it's A
I'm
minus.
talking under correction, but I think I was under the impression that for up until very recently, a foreign company was helping out with the Gautrain. I think people should look into that. I can't remember which one. I think it was a French company. It wasn't completely the South African government running that operation. But yeah, like I said, I'm talking under correction. I just have this memory of that being the case.
But I just find it interesting that the Gautrain is the only thing that's infrastructure that South Africa has that is world class. Usually you would see maybe the roads or other infrastructure of a country would be world class, but for in South Africa, the only thing that's world class is the Gautrain. Everything else is either fit for the future, and then it quickly goes to C grades, which is satisfactory for now. And by the way, if you look at some of this stuff, it's sanitation in major urban areas, waste collection in major urban areas, satisfactory. And then again, now this is where it really gets bad, where we get to D plus, at risk of failure, and that's quite a long list here of risk failure. Unfit for purpose in the final few sectors there. So I think this conversation is very relative for people who might think that there's no hope for South Africa. And that's also something I wanted to kind of get into. I just showed you this table. It doesn't paint a very good picture for South Africa. You're talking about, okay, in state failure, we got to get together, we got to band together, we got to get the community together, safe and sound, and build our own stuff. That's all good and well. Like you said, not everybody has the money to do so, but if we all get together, maybe we can help each other. all good. But what do you say to people who are leaving the country? You're on mute.
Second. Yeah, right. So, firstly, yes, immigrating from South Africa is definitely not a choice that people make lightly, and I think it's a very personal choice. Every case, I think you need to look at on a case by case basis. I don't think you can really generalize about why people decide to leave or whether it be for what type of reason. When it comes to what do you say to people that leave, well, firstly, if that is your choice and that's the path that you've chosen, I'm not going to tell you that you've made the wrong choice. I don't think there's a wrong or a right choice here. That's up to you and your family. But when it comes to let's make it more personal from my side. If I really wanted to, I would probably be able to immigrate. If I pull all my money together, I'd probably be able to just make it. But like I said earlier, just as not everyone has the money to just immediately go off grid, the vast majority of people in South Africa don't have the option to immigrate, and that option in the past 10 years has become much less realistic financially for many people. Not just financially, regulatory wise as well. I know a lot of the countries where South Africans usually immigrate to have made their regulations much more strict. Now, taking that into account, when you have an opportunity to build state-proof communities, then you are contributing towards the future of the people that either choose to stay behind because they don't want to leave, or the people that can't leave. And like I said, that's not for everyone. I'm not saying that everyone should be doing that, but a lot of people are. I'm seeing a lot of people do that. A lot of people are in the solutions industry, people looking for solutions for the future, specifically people that are motivated by things that you can't really measure with materially or with money. For example, things like the preservation of a culture or a language. It's Let's take the Afrikaner culture, for example. We don't have culturally, I don't think we have the tools to survive as a diaspora nation. If all the Afrikaners were to leave South Africa within 2 or 3 generations, there would be very little Afrikaners left. You can just take some case studies of, for example, the Afrikaners that immigrated to Argentina during I think it was just before the Anglo-Boer, Second Anglo-Boer War, somewhere there. There's none of them left. There were some of other Afrikaners that immigrated to Patagonia. I also remember there's also none of them left. Their descendants are still there, but none of them speak Afrikaans or still identify as Afrikaners. So when it comes to things like that, cultural preservation, heritage, those things, then it becomes a bit more difficult, because then that's one of the reasons why I'm staying behind, is to build a future for Afrikaners here in South Africa. Because if we don't have a future here, we don't really have a future. So, but like I said, that's my own personal choice. That doesn't mean that everyone else should now make that choice. That's what I've chosen. That's the path that God has put me on. But yeah, maybe to focus a little bit more, bring back the conversation to the essence of your question. When it comes to what would I tell people that leave South Africa, I would tell them that they need to keep us in their prayers and in their thoughts. South Africa is a tough place to live. Africa is a tough place to live, and I know a lot of people say when it comes to the if you look at South Africa, there's a lot of things going wrong and a lot of dysfunction. But I think the people that do immigrate, if they at least have always give time to those that either choose to stay or can't leave, always have a time to think of those people and give them the time of day to understand why they either choose not to leave, or why they choose to stay behind. I think, and if they can be ambassadors for the people that stay behind, that would be very helpful. Specifically, if you can help spread the message to the world wherever you go, that the ANC is an evil party. The ANC is destroying South Africa. They're not helping anyone. They're just a criminal syndicate that's looting as much as possible. If you can break at least one foreigners' perception or false perception of South Africa and give them the truth, that's already a big step. That a lot of people abroad, a lot of South Africans abroad, expats can do to help is to really spread the truth, tell people out there what you've been told about South Africa is not true. I mean, that illusion is quickly breaking, and a lot of people are coming to terms with the fact that the ANC has destroyed South Africa. But a lot of people still don't know that. I remember this incident where uh, usually when well, mostly left wingers from or liberals abroad, they come to South Africa and they go to places like the waterfront in Cape Town, and then they take pictures there and they should say everything looks fine here. I don't know what you guys are complaining about. It's the strangest thing, but I mean, those are the types of people that need to be shown that that they have a false idea of what South Africa is. So maybe just I've given a very long answer, but that's, I think, the big value that the expat community and South Africans abroad can do is that they can make sure that the facts prevail and the people in the abroad understand what's going on here and know that there's a lot of lies and propaganda coming from specifically the South African government, and they need to be called out for it, and the truth needs to prevail.
Yeah, and I would agree with you on most of those things. I mean, there's not really much that I disagree with. I do think that you're right, and that the expats or whoever ex South African that's living abroad does need to start coming to terms with the fact that South Africa is not hunky dory. South Africa is not okay. There's a lot of things that are happening or going to happen, or that the ANC is trying to make happen, that could really hurt South Africans even further. Um, and I've even gotten, like, on this channel, comments about people saying the ANC is amazing. Why do you hate the ANC so much? And I'm just like, okay, well, you're lost. But I can't help you. Like, it's that's cool. If you like, sitting in a pit toilet every day and having no electricity and collecting your 350 rand SASSA grants every day or every month or whatever, and you can live on that and you're happy, okay. But there's a lot of people who aren't, and I think I think the truth does need to be said, and I thank you for that actually awesome speech, because I mean you said everything correctly, especially about Cape Townians and people who travel to Cape Town.
There's that running joke that South Africans always make that the Cape or the Western Cape isn't really Africa. It's just it's a different country. It's the strange place that that you almost have to have a passport to visit. It doesn't feel like it's part of the rest of the country. And like, I don't blame people that say that it should have its own identity and its own it has to have to have control of its own destiny.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, maybe soon we will have our own passport, and I don't know if people ask me, like, Joe, why are you staying? Because I'm in the same boat, Ernst. If I wanted to, I could try and, like, sell everything I have, probably work for another few years hard, and maybe have just enough to take me and my family over to the States. I still have the American passport. I can, my wife can get it. My future children could possibly get it. So it wouldn't be difficult. It would take time, but it wouldn't be difficult necessarily to make that jump. However, why am I staying? And I don't mean to sound like the hashtag I'm staying movement. Yeah, that's corny. I'm staying. Well, half of my wife's family is Afrikaans and English, and there's a very strong South African heritage that they have. It's not easy. I know what it's like to be uprooted from your family and travel across the world and and have to rebuild your life. Granted, I was a kid and a teenager when I moved both times, but still, it wasn't easy. Now, as an adult, it's that much harder. And a lot of things have happened personally in our lives that have made us go, you know what? Let's stay in South Africa. Let's see how things go. If shit really hits the fan, then we'll make a plan. There's options. But we want to try and make it work in South Africa. And again, and this is the main point I'm getting at, is that, like you just said, when things get really bad, the community will come together. People will come together. Help
Best
each
example
other.
is the 2021 riots. That's the best
Exactly.
example of communities organically coming together.
Exactly. And I think we're going to see that if it happens on a larger scale, we're going to see that on a larger scale. I do believe that the state is failing. The state is going to collapse. And when that happens, I think Western Cape will naturally just break away from South Africa. Like it's already making arrangements to, to have its own policing, to have its own, to take control of other things, taxes, and I don't know what else, to be self sufficient in a way. So that when eventually every other province in South Africa is failing and cannot continue, the Western Cape can still take care of the people in the Western Cape, and move forward. And honestly, that's why I'm staying, is to see what happens with that scenario. And like I said, if things really get bad, well, there's a plan B. But I think another reason why people should stay and why people shouldn't be worried about the collapse, well, they should be worried about the collapse, but I mean, there's still hope at the end of the tunnel, is because there's opportunities in a crisis. Would you agree with that?
Well, yes, absolutely. I mean, it was the CEO of Copytech that said a few years ago, you can move to Switzerland where everything works, but there's no opportunities, or you can live in South Africa where nothing works, but there's thousands and millions of opportunities. And that's the thing is, in the end, I mean, that's why I've taken one of those opportunities. I'm working in the solutions industry. I'm here to, as our slogan goes, building to stay. I'm working on solutions for the people that stay behind. Like I said, the two groups of people, the people that refuse to leave and the people that, even if they wanted to, can't. Someone's going to have to build a future for those people. And the path that I've been put on and the opportunity that I've been given is to help build that future. And it gives me a lot of meaning and fulfillment in my life. And I mean, my family's been, I always tell people my family's been in South Africa since 1688, but I found out the other day it's even longer. It's since 1662. My first ancestor came here. So that's almost 400 years now. And yeah, there's a toxic mentality, unfortunately, that's you find it at different scales. Now, the mentality is that as soon as just things get a little bit rough, then you just leave. You move to greener pastures, or you move away from the rising water. But the hard reality is that water is going to keep rising if you don't build a dam, if you don't start building fortifications against it. And one day that water is going to be so high that you won't have any higher ground to flee from. I unfortunately foresee a lot of struggle in Western countries coming in the near future. Financial crisis, energy crisis. There's a lot of very bad signs going around. And when that type of crisis hits your region or your country, you have to take into account that in the past, these types of crises have already hit your country. And the reason why you're living in a functional country is the fact that people didn't leave. They fixed a lot of the problems that were going on. They found solutions. And that's the question you have to ask yourself. Like I said, there are many complexities to the whole immigration debate, whether you leave or stay. That's a very personal thing. And I would never condemn anyone for their choice, whether it would be to leave or stay. But how I look at it is that when it comes to, for example, problem solving, my ancestors went through a lot of worse stuff than we're going through now. We're struggling with power blackouts, while my ancestors were put in concentration camps and they came out on the other side. So you get to a point where you have to start looking at the bigger picture. You're going to have to start working on solutions, and you can't just keep moving away from the problem. And the thing is, when it comes to that solution making, there's a very simple question. So Alexander Solzhenitsyn, the Soviet dissident writer, said there's only really one choice, and that is whether you're going to rise up to find a solution to the problems of your age. And that's what we're going to have to do. We have a task of our age, and the only question is, are we going to have the balls to really try and solve the problems of our age? Every generation before us has had that question and that choice before them, and their answer was yes, and they found solutions for it. And are we really prepared? And by we, I don't mean people just staying behind in South Africa. I mean everyone from all across the world listening. We're living in a country where things aren't going the way you want to. You really just ask yourself the question. The reason why you're still here, why you're existing, is the fact that all your ancestors, when they were asked that question of are they going to solve the problems of their time, they said yes, and they found solutions. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. So then you have to ask yourself, am I going to be the first generation in that long chain that's going to say and admit, put your hand up and say, sorry guys, the unique problems of our time are too much. I'm going to be the first generation to throw in the towel. We're going to quit. We can't. The problems of our time are simply too complex. I refuse to be that generation. I refuse to give that answer. But that's really the only question you have to ask yourself. Like I said, whether you find yourself in South Africa or any other country where things are becoming tougher or there are severe challenges that are staring you in the face, you really only have that one question. Are you going to say, I'm going to try to solve this, or are you going to say, I'm going to be the first generation to admit the problems of my time are too complex?
No, very wise words, Ernst, and very true. I think that is a very important question for people to ask. And there are people out there that just give up, and there are people out there that are willing to fight. And I think South Africans, as a whole, the majority of South Africans are very resilient people. The amount of cock that you guys have been through in the past 400 years, 300 years alone, I mean, is insane. And South Africans, here's a good example. South Africans always have a great sense of humor. No matter how bad it is, there is always a joke to be made. And that's one of the things I love so much.
Usually about ourselves.
Yes, and that's one of the things I love so much about South Africans is that you guys can make a joke about yourselves. I mean, look at this whole donkey cart incident, right? There's jokes left, right, and center. It's a horrible thing. It's a terrible thing. We all know there's corruption around it, but people are having fun and they're saying, "Yeah, well, you know, that's what you get. Did the donkey come with the cart?" You know, stuff like that. And maintenance plan is now in full effect. But anyway, before we digress, is there anything else you want to add on the topic of failed state and what people should do and how to survive it?
Very short final thought there. I think nobody should be under the illusion that people are expecting of you to find a massive, to like pump hundreds of thousands of rands into a big solution. There are very small things that you can do that already make a big difference. For example, you can start thinking, are there ways that I can make my community safer? Does my community have a neighborhood watch that I can join? Can I become more state-proof energy-wise by installing a gas stove or a solar-powered geyser or anything like that? What is within my budget? Can I become state-proof in such a small scale where I just install some rechargeable light bulbs, those light bulbs that go on, that charge while the power is on, and then when the power goes off, they go on. I've been able to take some of my savings and buy about 3 or 4 of them, so that I can use in strategic places in my house where you might need a strong light during an emergency. But these are small things that you can do. Becoming state-proof and self-reliant is not something, like I said, that happens overnight. It starts very slowly. It starts with small things that you can do in your capacity as a person. And I think a lot of people have that capacity, and the only thing standing in their way is one of two things. Either they don't believe they can do it, or they believe they shouldn't do it because the government should be doing this. I pay taxes. The government should be doing it. Yes, it's unfair that the government isn't doing what you're paying them to do, but you really have to start asking the question. You're staring necessity in the face. So you're on the Titanic. The Titanic is sinking. Are you going to start building life rafts with the furniture around you, or are you going to sit and cry in the corner and say, I bought a ticket. I bought a ticket for a safe ride. This is not fair. That's how I look at it.
Or you can burn the train.
Don't burn the train.
No, I'm joking, of course, but I mean, I do think that at some point South Africans do need to get angry, and I'm not advocating for violence here. That's not all what I'm saying, but I think that much like in, I think it was 2000. When did that whole Zoom must fall thing happen? What year?
That was probably 2017.
2017. Yeah. So like
Yeah.
that almost had, I think, the entire country. Uh, Obviously, some people didn't fall for the propaganda, but um, a lot of people were behind that movement. And if only we could see the same kind of passion when it comes to South Africans wanting a better future for themselves and standing up against tyrannical governments and politicians, and also, and so I'm not saying specifically ANC. I'm putting all politicians on like under scrutiny here, um, because the previous regime definitely didn't work. This regime of the ANC is not working either. And I'm not saying that the DA is the answer or FF Plus is the answer or any other political party is the answer necessarily. What I'm saying is people need to get angry with these politicians in a way that is productive and peaceful, so that they can understand and be reminded that they work for us, not the other way around. Yes, we pay taxes, we pay their salaries or whatever, but yeah, we are the ones that they're supposed to listen to, and somehow it's been turned around, and people think that the politicians are king, which is ridiculous. Yeah, I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
No, just a small thought there. I might diverge a little bit from you. That doesn't mean that party politics is not important, but people should be careful that they don't put all their eggs in that basket. You can see what happened now in America, where the Americans are still putting all of their eggs in the party politics and the election basket. And when their party doesn't perform as good as they wanted, or doesn't win the election, or doesn't win the Senate and the House, then they're all blackballed. Then they're all completely depressed and say, "Well, now it's the end. We're not going to make it." Well, that's not how it works. I think in South Africa we've already entered a post politics phase. Well, while in America they're still pretty much fast in that in the party politics paradigm. So what I mean by that is, don't discard party politics. It is important. Who wins the election in South Africa in 2024 is going to have an effect on our lives. But to diversify your portfolio, where you invest your attention and where you invest your future. To use a metaphor from investment, it's just, don't put all your investment in. If my party wins next year, then everything is saved, and if my party loses, everything is lost. Then we're not going to make it. Diversify that future. Start investing your time and energy also in other things, like, for example, like I said earlier, slowly but surely within your budget and what you can afford, weaning your household off state dependence in the small capacity that you can. Start doing that. Also, see if you can do the research, and it's not going to take long. See if there's any community-based organizations or initiatives in your area. And if there are, why aren't you part of that? Why aren't you already a member of that? Why aren't you spending as little as just an hour a week to volunteer at one of those initiatives? There are many of those out there, and you just have to go look. There's already so many tools that you can use to find them as well. I mean, the best tool, if you want to see if there's an Afriforum, for example, neighborhood watch close to you, or a branch that fixes potholes and plants trees, you just go to the Afriforum website and you go to the Get Involved tab. But I wish if there was a website that shows all the community-based organizations in South Africa. I mean, I'll direct you there as well. I work for Afriforum, but I'm directing you there because that's the only directory that I know of that really helps people locate those types of initiatives. But otherwise, if you don't have an Afriforum branch or a neighborhood watch close to you, I think a little bit of research on your own side, you'll be able to find community-based initiatives around you, even if it's something as simple as a soup kitchen or a cleanup initiative or anything like that. And if you have the time, start making the time to get involved there. That's the only way that you're going to diversify your future prospects for a future here in South Africa. That's the only way that you're going to make sure that all your eggs isn't in that party politics basket. You can't bet all your chips on the ANC dropping below 50% and coalitions magically working in 2024. We've seen what happens with coalitions. So my best advice, this is not financial advice, this is future advice. Diversify your focus on where you put your attention and your efforts and your money when it comes to the future and what will determine the future.
Yes. And I have two things to add to that. For those of you that might be thinking of leaving a sinking ship, I saw a comment there saying, no, abandon ship, abandon the Titanic. Listen, there's a saying I heard recently, and it's made me think a lot. You know that old saying, the grass is always greener on the other side? Well, I heard someone put a new twist to that, and he said, the grass isn't greener on the other side. It's greener where you water it. That's food for thought for you. And then the other thing I wanted to add to what you were saying is, sorry, I got distracted by a comment here. I'm sure I saw you in Kruger Park in October, or your doppelganger.
No, that was definitely not me in October. I was so busy, I didn't have any free time. I was so busy with work. So no, that was definitely my doppelganger. I'm looking forward to a little bit of a December vacation soon.
Yeah. So basically, very quickly, Ernst, how much longer do you have? Because I know your battery's running low.
I've got about 10 minutes left.
10 minutes. Okay. For those of you that have been leaving sweet comments, I will address them once Ernst is done, because as you can hear, time is limited, because I've got some new subscribers and members, and I want to just thank them, but I'll thank them after this. Ernst, very quickly, because I know people are going to be upset if I don't ask, so I gotta ask.
I already know what you're going to ask.
What can you tell us? Okay, very quickly, very briefly. Julius Malema, now the South African Human Rights Commission has said that they're going to take him to the Equality Court. I understand Afriforum also was involved there, sending a complaint to them. Any new updates about that?
So there was an update today, and that the South African Human Rights Commission will be taking Julius Malema to court, seeing as they at first gave him 10 days to apologize and retract, and then the EFF and Julius Malema put out a press statement saying they will not retract or apologize. So they will be going to court, and we will be monitoring that court case very closely. The thing is, this is the South African Human Rights Commission's job. And if we were to, let's say, this court case doesn't work out, it fails, Julius Malema and the EFF continue with their hate speech, then Afriforum can escalate that to a higher authority, seeing as we've went through the proper channels now, for example, through the South African Human Rights Commission. Because a lot of people, I know, this is a valid worry, where you say, well, we've seen that the South African Human Rights Commission does not have the best record when it comes to objectivity. They have a lot of double standards, what we've seen now. But the thing is, what you need to understand is, if we were, let's say, for example, let's say all our options in South Africa are exhausted and we want to report Julius Malema to a higher authority internationally. That international, I'm just using it as an example.
Yeah.
That international authority is going to ask us, have you gone through all the proper channels in your own country and tried every single thing in your own country to resolve this? And if our answer is no, they're just going to shut down the conversation and say, well, why are you wasting our time? So, and this will be the reaction of any other authority in South Africa where we were to take the case as well. If we don't follow the proper procedures of going through all the proper channels, starting off with the first line of defense, as it theoretically should be, the South African Human Rights Commission, that just severely weakens our case in the future. So this is all about making sure you've got the proper paper trail showing that you've gone through all the motions. And maybe we don't have to go further than this. Maybe the South African Human Rights Commission does a proper job with this case. We will see. But if they don't, we will definitely be escalating it further.
Awesome. Okay, cool. And then, there's other things I could ask you about Julius. He is such a interesting, well, not interesting. Well, he is interesting, but he's everybody's just like, you mentioned EFF, you mentioned Julius, and then like everybody's just like, what did he do now? And there was something I wanted to ask, but now I'm like, it's kind of old news because the South African Human Rights Commission, this whole new thing that's come out, does it trump in a way your kill the Boer case? Like, do you guys feel that you've got to? I hate saying it this way, and I hope you don't take it the wrong way. But do you feel like maybe there's a bigger chance of a win with with the Western Cape and what he said about killing in revolutionary?
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Um, when it comes to this, Joe, it's very simple. You take this on a case by case basis. If I was a lawyer or an advocate or a legal person, I would be telling you exactly like about how winnable a case is. But when it comes to just Afriforum's responsibility to our members and as a civil rights organization, if we don't take on Julius Malema and people like him that spread hate speech against minorities, then there's not a lot of people that will.
Yeah.
We have a lot of allies in South Africa. There are a lot of good civil rights organizations and civil society organizations that are also taking on Julius Malema, and that's great. But we have a responsibility to do it, even if there is a chance of failure. We're feeling very strongly about this case. I think the South African Human Rights Commission has ample resources at their disposal. Resource may be the wrong word. Ample stuff or material to show the court that their case is solid. I think they've got a lot of material to use. So they've got a strong case. But like I said, when it comes to a court case, like something related to speech, there's always that option of failure. It all depends on the person interpreting the law. It all depends on the person interpreting the Constitution. So when it comes to, I think that's a more big picture lesson to take from all of this as well, is the fact that the Constitution and the law can say whatever it wants, but if the person interpreting the law or the Constitution, whether it be a judge or a person writing a legal opinion, that person interpreting the law or the Constitution has the power, not the law or the Constitution itself. And I think that's one of the big lessons that we've learned in South Africa, is that the Constitution can say whatever it wants. If the person interpreting the Constitution interprets it in a different way, for example, to allow discrimination or to allow hate speech against minorities, that person holds the power, and the Constitution can say whatever it wants and stand on its head. And I think that's a big lesson that specifically other countries that rely a lot on their Constitution, like America, can learn from South Africa, is that it's the people interpreting the Constitution where the power lies, not the document itself. But yeah, I'm getting a bit more too big picture here for your question. But yeah, I think that is something that I think is very important to understand about these types of cases.
No, it is, and may explain why, we're so flabbergasted by some of the judgments that are made. But as we all know, the appeal for Kill the Boer case is ongoing, or is going to happen. So I'll definitely have you back on to talk about that, as well as Mark Oppenheimer and other people around that case. Yeah, and then I wanted to add actually to something you said previously about people sort of investing into many different parties or keeping an eye on many different parties and all that stuff. I also want to encourage people to support civil society groups, especially those like Afriforum, Action Society.
There's a lot of them.
Yeah, DRSA, so on and so forth, IRR. The list can go on, and if you watch my channel frequently, you'll know who they are. But support these guys, become members, fund them, because it's guys like Ernst van Zyl, Ernst Roots in Afriforum that really fight a good fight, and have an excellent team, as well as the other civil society groups like Action Society and the like, that really do amazing work, and I really think are at the forefront of the fight for democracy, even though it's questionable if democracy even exists in South Africa at the moment. But in a way, these civil societies are fighting to keep it intact, whatever's left of it. So yeah, I don't know if you have anything to add before we go.
No, I'd just like to add there, Joe, that, well, thank you very much for your support and your words of support. And what I want to add there is just that's also a small way that you can diversify your investments in the future is to support organizations that are doing a lot of good work. And like you correctly said, it's not just Afriforum. South Africa is blessed with a lot of civil society organizations doing amazing work. And even if you just give 20 or 10 rand a month, that's going a long way. I mean, a good example is Soltech that was built by Solidarity. Soltech, the biggest single donation made to the building fund that was used for building of Soltech was 10 rand. So that just shows the big difference
Wow.
that a small contribution can make. You could be contributing towards building a state-proof university or technical college.
Absolutely. More work than what the ANC has done. So, anyway, I
Yeah.
know that you are living on second by second here. So, if there's anything else you want to say in closing, you can let people know where they can find you. I have linked your Twitter in the description as well as your YouTube channel. But yeah, you can let people know where they can find you.
Well, they can find me on YouTube at Conscious Caracal, and they can find me on Twitter as well, Conscious Caracal, and then I do analysis content on my YouTube channel, talk to interesting people about South Africa and things outside of Africa, and lastly, you should subscribe to Joe Emilio. This channel is doing a good job and creating quality content.
Oh, thanks very much, Ernst. And once again, thank you for giving me the little bit of time that you had during load shedding to join me for this conversation. It was very interesting. Thanks again, Ernst.
All right, cheers. Walk well.
Cheers. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Ernst van Zyl from Afriforum. Don't go anyone, please. I want to thank some people here. Johan Esterhuizen, I hope I am pronouncing that correctly. Thank you so much for becoming a member. Ladies and gentlemen, please become a member to this channel. You'll be supporting this channel, what I do so much to help produce more content. And you get some exclusive perks, so check it out. All the details at the join button below. I also want to say, thank, that wasn't, sorry. This was a comment for a previous question that I had to you guys. Who should I have on the show? To Lula saying Eusebius will never accept. He claims to be the best debater, but he refuses to be on channels like this. Lynn Horn saying, hi all, love this channel, just subscribe. Thanks, Joe. Lynn Horn, thank you for subscribing. It really means a lot to me. Thank you so much. Debbie Moray saying, I am so proud of his 5-minute news. Absolutely excellent. My mom of 80 even loves it. Thanks so much. Thank you to your mom. Thank you to Debbie as well for the kind words. Yes, that's my new morning segment, ladies and gentlemen. I try and do it every day, Monday to Friday. I may not always be able to deliver, but I will try. There is a News in 5 episode tomorrow morning. Go on my YouTube channel. You'll find it right there. Hit the reminder and check it out. It's about Eskom wanting to charge us of upwards of 3,000 Rand for not even using electricity, for just being on the grid, or if you have solar. So I'm going to be talking about that. And then White Zulu also saying, I just subscribed. Thank you, White Zulu, for subscribing. It means a lot, and I love your profile pic there. And I would just like to say thank you all so much for tuning in, for listening, for watching, for engaging, for asking questions. It's all really good to see some new faces in the live chat. Thank you guys so much for watching. Really means a lot to me. Don't forget to check out my new feature, News in 5. It's the morning show. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. I'll be back tomorrow evening, ladies and gentlemen. Gavin, I saw you promoting the cowards, the comedians roast the head. I don't know. I know why I said coward. There's a comment I saw as I was reading that. As I was saying what I was saying, I read this comment. Cowards roast the headlines. Comedians roast the headlines, ladies and gentlemen. A show where comedians find the most weirdest, awkward headlines in the world, local, international, and we roast them. We have fun with you guys. It's a lot of fun. Tune in tomorrow evening. I usually do it on a Thursday. We can't do it this Thursday, so we've decided to do it tomorrow evening. So tune in tomorrow evening for Comedians Roast the Headlines. Other than that, ladies and gentlemen, I'll see you tomorrow evening, 7 p.m. And thank you all once again for tuning in. Thank you to all the new subscribers and members. You guys are really awesome. Thank you so much for the support. Like, share, much of love, and stay safe. Be kind to one another, and I'll see you at the next one. Cheers. Bye.